A Day in the Life, Chapter 12. Moments like this fill Colin's heart with wonder. He walks briskly along from the novitiate, scurrying down the night stairs to the cloister, the quickest route to the choir, through the south transept. Already, as he strides the few short steps from the bottom of the stairs to the entrance of the massive church, he can hear the indistinct sound of singing. It rings out clearly as soon as he opens the door. Going in, he carefully and quietly closes the door behind him again, reflecting as he does so that he's already picking up on the mindfulness of monastic ways, and that makes him feel happy. Then, for those few moments, he just stands, listening, before he lets his feet take him, drifting towards the nave, where the spine-tingling sound carries like eddies and swirls of mist. And it is, he thinks, so beautiful. The acoustics catch and swell the sound, bellying it out into an expanding cloud of music. Just two voices, but how captivating, spellbinding. Before he came here, he didn't know music could be like this. What he's listening to moves between the simple, peaceful river of plain chant and a complicated, cascading, bubbling, luminous effervescence of notes sparkling like light on a waterfall. What can it be? Whatever is this song they're singing? And then the tissue of sound breaks into a few wobbly, misjudged notes and collapses into the ordinary sound of Brother Cassian and Brother Boniface laughing. The enchantment is broken, and Colin walks round under the gate in the rood screen to join the small group of men standing in the choir. Ah, Colin, you remembered. We were waiting for you. Just running through the Vita and Omnes. We shan't need it until Christmas, of course, but there can be no harm in starting early. Especially because, depending on how you get on, we might consider attempting the Perrotin. Colin looks at him. The what? Oh, I'm sorry. The Vita and Omnes. The Perrotin setting is for 4 voices, where the Leonam we were singing is only for 2. It's for the Feast of the Circumcision, so we'll not need it until into Christmastide. But we have either option to fall back on, depending on how you get on. Father, I'm sorry to be obtuse. I don't even know what a Leonin is, or a Perrotin, or a what did he say? He feels so grateful that it's Brother Cassian and Brother Boniface standing listening to this, both of them grinning, but entirely without condescension. He feels sure if Brother Felix had been part of the mix, he would right now be shrivelling at the embarrassment of his ignorance. Father Gilbert doesn't sneer at him, though he doesn't think to conceal his surprise at this lack of familiarity with what, to him, is life and breath. "Ah, says the precentor. I see what you mean. I do beg your pardon. I should have aimed for better clarity. What we were singing when you came in is the Viderunt Omnes. Viderunt omnes fines terrae salutare Dei nostri. It means all the ends of the earth have seen the salvation of our God. It's a gradual. You do know what a gradual is? Oh yes, of course I do. It's the hymn or the chant we have before the Gospel Alleluia. Yes, quite so. Now, Léonin, working at Notre Dame, that's in France, about 150 years ago, began to develop some of these lovely descants and so forth that are just trickling through to us now. And he worked with the chant, superimposing these top melodies that I think you must have heard our young men here singing. Perrotin came a little bit later, same place of course, and built on Léonin's work. So his Viderunt Omnes is more complex, has the 4 voices against Léonin's 2. And my great hope is that we may be able to tackle the Perrotin with you on board. You can read music. Doesn't matter if he can't, said Brother Cassian quickly, accurately interpreting Colin's expression. He can sing the bass chant, can't he? It goes so slow, just as long as he's got good wind and can do a tolerable imitation of a bull lowing, we can manage the rest. Father Gilbert nods thoughtfully, not replying to this. I can try, offers Colin. He thinks the precentor looks crestfallen, his eagerness punctured by Brother Cassian's prosaic take on the music in hand. I'll do my best. Very good. The precentor pulls himself together and smiles at the helpful postulant. Well, let's give it a go. I've got copies for the Beata Viscera here. That's also Perrotin. When you hear it, I'm sure you'll immediately recognise it, because we sang it at the High Mass just this last week when we celebrated the birth of the Blessed Virgin Mary. If I explain the principle and let these lads show you, perhaps it'll help you get a grip on it. With Perrotin, the tenor's the thing. He holds the melody, the chant. Now, somewhere here, he reaches over the ledge into the stall, muttering to himself as he roots about in the pile of scores to find what he's looking for. Ah, yes, here it is. The Benedicamus Domino will serve as a perfectly good illustration. There are 2 treatments of it, 2 possible ways to go. Either the Descantus descant or the Organum Purum. That's the Florida organum, of course. Now look, do you see? He indicates the place on the score, and Colin, anxious to appear willing, peers at it cooperatively. Syllabic chant melody, just a few ligatures, only the 3, all simple. So that's our harmonic basis. What we do, look, you can see on the score, is stretch out the syllables, elongating the word, then superimpose the duplum, the new florid line that works towards the next note the tenor will sing. That's clear, yes? Just every now and then, in this new life he has undertaken, Colin has moments when he honestly wishes he was dead. This is one of them. He has absolutely no idea how to even begin to formulate a reply. He stands, his lips slightly parted, staring in complete, blank bewilderment at Father Gilbert. Why don't we just show him? Suggests Brother Boniface good-naturedly, stretching out his hand for the music. Oh, certainly. Father Gilbert gives it to him and roots about a second time to find a copy for Brother Cassian. Like this, says Boniface, giving Colin an encouraging grin. Boniface takes a deep breath and then sets off in his clear, beautiful tenor voice. Bene dicamus. Brother Cassian gets ready, and as Boniface begins the do of domino, he enters with a stream of notes like the music of a nightingale, this upper part continuing to ripple and flow above Boniface's tenor like a butterfly over flowers, the same glorious, transporting, free-flowing melodic waterfall they were singing when he came into the church. They work through the syllables of the word together. Boniface slow and measured, Cassian creating the cascade of multiple notes, and they both finally touch down on the same tone as Boniface reaches the last of domino. Then they all look at Colin. It's called a melisma, explains Brother Cassian. What is? Colin loves it, but is beginning to feel too confused by the musical terms to even pretend to understand. Loads of notes allocated to each syllable of text, says Cassian. His eyes, holding Colin's gaze, are full of merriment and kindness. Don't worry, he says. I'd never come across it either, but it's not as hard as it sounds. All it's made up of is one of us singing one word as long and slow and drawn out as you can possibly imagine, while the other one sings the same word but all twiddly over the top. We both end up together. It's called polyphony. It's how they do it in France. Father Gilbert's teaching us so we don't get too stuck in mud. We can be a bit behind the times up here in Yorkshire. He's making sure we're not. I expect you've seen this. Father Gilbert looks at Colin hopefully. I think Father Chad will have shown you. In the library, we have copies of both Johannes de Garlandia's De Mensurabilis Musica and Franco of Cologne's Ars Cantus Mensurabilis. I think you might find them very useful for your private reading. They explain the theory of the music most helpfully. Anyway, would you like to have a go? Sing the bass chant with me, says Brother Boniface. Watch my hand. I'll conduct you through it so you know when to change syllable. Benedicamus again then, Father. Off we go. Colin has by now heard several such pieces at High Mass on Sundays and feast days, but this is the first time he's been invited to participate. The complicated explanations and unfamiliar terms make it seem so daunting that he doesn't even want to try. But the friendliness in the novices' faces encourages him, besides which he doesn't see how he could refuse. This is a requirement. So he stands with Boniface and sings when he sings, through the long, drawn-out chanting of the words. And then Cassian once more fills in the complex, free, upper voice. To his amazement, Colin discovers that it's all different when you actually join in. Just as chanting the psalms and responsories of the office with the community lifts him above everything mundane to something peaceful and wholesome beyond imagining, so being part of this new polyphony is more exhilarating than he would ever have guessed. He feels his own voice, breath in his body, the power of his core, all the more intensely for the awareness of the other men's voices uniting, blending. By the end of the 2 short words of the opening phrase, Benedicamus Domino, his eyes are shining. Father Gilbert smiles. Would you like to have a go at the Beata Viscera? We've got our 4 voices and 3 of us are singing more or less the same thing at any one time. Don't worry if you go wrong. It's the only way to learn. Yes? You can sing with Brother Boniface again. It goes so slowly you won't have any trouble following your part on the page. Off you go then, Brother Cassian. You have the opening verse as well as the top line. Growing in confidence as they help him work with the unfamiliar forms, Colin feels excitement fizzing inside him at the discovery and the mastery of something so beautiful. Standing right inside the music, feeling the harmonies resonating through his own body, he's taken aback by how close it makes him feel to the men singing beside him, as though the harmony were not only musical but relational. Father Gilbert looks happy when he sends the other 2 on their way, leaving some time before noon to listen to Colin practice his readings. After a disastrous debut the day before, intensive rehearsal seems like a good idea. Reading in refectory is a week-long job. It's only because Colin is very new that he has a one-off try at reading to acclimatise him without overburdening him. I'm sorry I messed it up yesterday, he says ruefully. It's so hard to read ahead, to see what's coming. The rule says only people who are good at reading should be allowed to, doesn't it? Maybe I won't ever be good enough. Oh, you will. Father Gilbert sounds quite sure. It's my responsibility to see to it that you are. Don't you worry about that. It's not next week, is it? It's the week after. So you can practice several times with me, and also when you're by yourself in your cell. You'll be magnificent. The books themselves are large, meant for refectory reading, the lettering bold and clear. Someone, probably Father Gilbert, has already gone through the texts, marking the stress syllables to assist with correct pronunciation. And here and there, tiny margin notes have been added, giving extra directions. Colin sees it's not going to be as difficult as he at first thought, provided he takes his time and makes certain to practice. Just now they're working through the book of Esther, which is an interesting story. This helps because it engages his attention. By the time the precentor decides they've done enough, reading in refectory has shrunk from being more terrifying than Colin can contemplate to being a challenge he's not sure he can meet, but wants to try. I think you liked the music, says Father Gilbert, as they carry the big reader's books back through the cloister to the recessed shelves under the reader's pulpit in the Frater. It was wonderful, says Colin. I loved it. What amazed me was how close it made me feel to the rest of you singing with me. I never expected that. It truly was harmony. Oh yes, Father Gilbert agrees enthusiastically. That's exactly right. Singing the office, the Mass, every day, it creates the deepest bonds. And this is what's so exciting about the new music from France, the polyphony. It's community in music. Each man has his part to sing, but it has to be precisely fitted together with the other parts. It's a wonderful thing, as you said. It balances, varies, echoes, departs and returns. It's how people are. And the key to it is, you have to sing loud enough for the man next to you to hear, and quiet enough so you can hear him. It's not for showing off or outdoing one another. The magic is in working together for the good of the whole. The world will see in time, you mark my words. Once they've got over grumbling about how strange and outlandish it is, they'll get the vision. People will see that polyphony builds community. It's the music of relationship, fellowship sublime. Tomorrow we're on to chapter 13. Hello. You doing all right? Well, however you are, however you're feeling today, may the peace of Jesus be with you, wrap around you, seep into your heart's core. Today, may you be happy. May you be just a little bit more well than you were yesterday. Body and soul, the peace of Christ be with you. Amen.